Hey everybody, tonight's little project we're going to make some shoe sacks, and I'm just going to use some printed cotton that I've got available, and I'm going to show you how I quickly make these, and they are for putting your shoes in, tying them up at the top so that you can put them in your suitcase and not get all your clothes dirty. Okay, so I've got 6 pieces are here already cut, and let me show you what it is. We've got some black with white stripes, black with black with white polka dots. We've got this fabric here. This is really nice. I think I'm going to see if I can make some pajamas out of those. And then we got some anchors. It's kind of neat. I use that for a liner for a canvas tote that I made for my parents for when they take the boat out. And then we got just a cow print, dairy cow print, and this really nice plaid that one day, if I get adventurous, I might see if I can make a shirt out of that. Yeah, we'll we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so it doesn't have to be anything fancy. This is just a bunch of fabric that I bought at Joann's when they were closing up. I went in their last week or two of their existence and really racked up. I mean, I was buying 6 yards of this, 8 yards of that, and before I know it, I had $450 worth of fabric. But so I got enough fabric to play with. But for their trip, I made them a bunch of stuff sacks out of this 40D ripstop nylon. This is a really bright yellow. I don't know if that's showing up, but Mom had mentioned that she wanted some bags just to put her shoes in, so that she doesn't have her shoes floating around inside the suitcases. And then she wants one for her hair dryer and her flat iron and all that kind of stuff. And since they're going to the beach, they don't want to get sand inside the suitcases. So these are really going to help out. So I'm going to show you real fast how I make this. They're so simple. You could actually, you could spend an hour or two and probably have 15 or 20 of these made. Super, super simple. So what I did is I cut these. I left, these are straight off the bolt, so it was already folded and had a nice crease down here at the bottom. So I cut it to about 13 inches. This one looks like it's maybe 13 and a half. So 13, 13 and a half, 14, it doesn't matter. And my length, again, I put my creased folded end right here, and this is the open top, and I cut it at 15 inches. So we're just going to say 13 by 15, and I'm going to show you how I make these real quick. And it's a nice, easy project that you shouldn't have any problem with. Okay, so to get this started, I've got my iron board out here, and I've got my fabric opened up, and I'm going to fold to the inside. I'm just going to do to start with, let me see, I'm going to do a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch hem. I'm going to press that down. I'm just using medium heat. I think I've got this on a 4. I'm not using steam or anything like that, because it doesn't have to be anything fancy. All right, so I've done that. Now I'm going to go 1 inch. Let me see. Yeah, 1 inch. And then I'm going to press that down. And this is going to be the little channel that the cord is going to go through. I was going to get some thinner cord. All I've got right now is some paracord. So I'm just going to use paracord, but you can use ribbon. You can use whatever you got. But I just happen to have several hundred yards of paracord. So I'm going to use that. So we folded it down a 1/2 inch, pressed it, and we're folded it down 1 inch and press it. All right, so we're going to do this on both ends. Here's our other end. So I've got to do it on that, and I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to do all of these others also while I'm at it, and then we'll pick right back up. Okay, here we go. So I'm using the Vevor industrial sewing machine, and if you got any questions about that, please see my video that I made about it, because it is a really nice machine. So on this part right here, we had it folded down a 1/2 inch, and we've got it folded down 1 inch, and we're just going to go along this bottom with about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and we're just going to straight stitch it. I've got it on, my stitch length is 3, and away we go. Going back up a little bit. And I'm just using my regular foot. I mean, I have a foot that I could use that would absolutely give me exactly 1/8 of an inch. But, you know, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. These are just bags that you're going to stuff a dirty shoe in. I know you want to have nice product, but don't get overly drawn out about it. You know what I mean? Life's too short for that. All right, so we got that done, and we're gonna flip this around. We'll trim our leavings off, and we're going to do this other end. I always call them leavings, as opposed to tails or pieces or whatever. Y'all ever watch Married with Children? Al is always getting on to Peggy about her cooking. So he said, "Hey Peg, what's for breakfast?" She said, "Toaster leavings." I'll never forget that. And then he went over to the toaster, and he just kind of shook it out over a plate, see what comes out. Little pieces of breadcrumb and pieces of Pop-Tart, whatever was left in the toaster from her previous cooking, I guess. I wandered off the path a little bit on this, but again, it doesn't matter. All right, we're going to cut these leavings off. Y'all ever wonder what it would be like if Bob Ross had a sewing channel? I often wonder about that. He'd be like, okay, in this world, a happy little Stitch lives right here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to turn it wrong side out, and we're going to line up the tops with that bottom seam. And, just do it, the best you can. Like I said, it doesn't have to be rocket surgery. But to keep things still, I'm going to put some clips. I'm going to put a couple of clips across the top. These clips, you don't have to get fancy with your clips. These are just, I think they call these bulldog clips. You can get them at any office supply place, but these are the 5/8 inch size. I've got some other ones too that I use every once in a while, but it doesn't have to be anything fancy. All right, so I'm just going to kind of spread this out a little bit, just crease it with my fingers. I did pretty good because that original crease is right down at the bottom. So I'm going to throw a couple of clips in here because what we want to do is we're going to seam up both sides. Now on this, you could do 1/8 of an inch, but I'm going to show you why I don't want to do that. I'm going to do 1/4 of an inch because at the top, where it comes to this part up here, so I'm going to have a seam about 1/4 of an inch out, but then I'm going to come back and cut it with my scissors. When I get close to the top, I'm just going to curve it out. Going to curve that cut out when it gets up to the top, and that makes makes this channel where the cord goes through, just kind of gives that a place to live. All right, so might as well start on this end. It doesn't really matter, but you know what? I think I'm going to do a 1/2 inch just to make things easy. I've got a 1/2 inch line right there, but I could. Let me grab this. This is my magnetic hem guide, and I'm just going to put that right on the 1/2 inch line. That way I don't have to think about it too much. I'm going to lift this up, lift my foot up. I'll stick it in there. Boom. All right, we're still on 3 stitches stitch length. And we're going to go forward. We're going to back up a little bit. Go forward again. Uh-oh. Here we go. You know what? This is painfully slow. I'm going to bump it up to 400. All right. So I went 1 stitch past my previous backup. And we're going to call that done. And let's cut these leavings off. That's what I like about having your machine being cast iron. You can stick magnets all over it. All right, again, we're going to just go one past my previous stitch. And this little function here, being able to stitch half a stitch at a time just by punching a button. God, I can't tell you how helpful that is. All right, so we're pretty much done. So so now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut half of this away till I get up here to the top. Okay, now right here, I'm just going to start turning it out. We'll do that again some other time. All right, and then we're just gonna, I'm gonna take my, this little tool in sewing, it's called a corner turner, and in leather work, it's called a bone folder. I don't know why, but see, all we gotta do is use that to push that tip right out. And it makes that corner nice and square. There we go. We have a completed bag. Now you could, if you want to get a little fancy, you can pull this seam out, iron it, or just iron it like it is, and then do a stitch down there. You know what? I think I'm going to do that. Hang on. Okay, so I decided against that. But yeah, you could just press this out. You'd have to go through here, make sure that your seam is all the way out. Stitch it again. You'd wind up with a good looking French seam. But so this is what we've got now. We've got our little ends poking out. So if you're using a lighter weight string, I've seen some tricks where they put a safety pin in it and then fish the safety pin through. But this paracord is stiff enough that it's just going to come out on its own. See, I'm already at the end here. And now I can just kind of inchworm my way to the end. All right. So we got that. But now we're going to do it again. We're going to go back through on this other side. Well, there you go. So what I do on this is I start about, see, you see these white things in the center? I start about back here and I just pull it all the way and I hold it tight. And then cut the end off, and I use one of these kind of lighters and I just burn the end. Let it cool a minute. All right, so now we're going to go through this end. So I'm going to lay this out. And I'm going to cut these 1, 2, 3. I'm going to cut these at 4 inches. All right. So those are already nice and cool. So I'm just going to do a little simple overhand knot right there. Okay, simply, let's try this again. I'm simply going to make an overhand knot just to keep them together and keep them from pulling all the way through. I'm going to go right to the end. There you go. We do it to this side. Little overhand knot there. Now when I do the cinch sacks, I've got this nylon spring-loaded thing that goes down. But on those, you got to have them because in the cinch sack, you've got, man, you got stuff stuffed in there like a sleeping bag or something. And when you pull it tight and you zip that thing down, you want that to hold. Okay, I think maybe if I was making these for men's shoes, I would have made them a little longer, especially for my big old boats. But tell you what, let's do it like this. Let's put one in there like this, and then we'll put one in there like this. Does that work? No. Let's just do it like this. Okay. So for my shoes, this size is a little short, but now you just pull these together, tie it up, boom. Now you can put it in your sleeping bag. I mean, in your, not in your sleeping bag. You can put it in your suitcase, and you're not getting dirty shoes all over your clothes. So there we go. Again, this size 15 by 13 is probably good for the ladies' shoes, but for men's shoes, maybe you want to go 13 by, I don't know, 18, maybe. We'll find out. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Simple little project, nothing major to it. Please subscribe if you like what I'm doing. I've got some other videos on there for you to check out, and a lot more coming. So here we go, and y'all have a great weekend.